On Central News tonight, a miracle surgery for Parkinson's, our little blue penguins on Mowal, and best junior coach in the Waikato. Kia ora, welcome to Central News for Friday the 7th of November. I'm Hilary Entwistle. 1 in 500 New Zealanders suffer from Parkinson's, and this week it's the Awareness Week.
Parkinson's awareness is the first week in November of each year, and 1 in 500 New Zealanders actually have Parkinson's, so it's important that their friends and relatives understand what Parkinson's is and where they can get help when it's necessary. The website is really important for us, and that is taronga@parkinsons.org.nz, and that gives Taronga people a lot of information on what the society is, how we operate, and the information regarding access to advice and the groups that we have involved in Parkinson's to be able to help them and their carers. So Parkinson's Week is not just for people with Parkinson's, it's for the community awareness. And most of us will know about Muhammad Ali and Michael J. Fox, and I guess Parkinson's is well known for those people, but there's lots of people in our community that have it, and this week is our week to make sure that we get that out there.
Now, what is Parkinson's? Some say it's a neurological disorder.
Yes, Parkinson's is a neurological disorder. It's caused by a lack of dopamine in the brain. The dopamine is produced at a point in the brain about the size of an almond, which is the substantia nigra. And it's amazing how something so small can have such a dastardly effect on people.
And what are the symptoms for the early stage? And how does it kind of start?
Well, I can speak from my own experience. It would start often with a slight tremor, though that only occurs in about 30% of cases. Then you might find that you freeze or you become very stiff. Your sleep patterns may be disrupted. You find rolling over in bed a real issue, which is not good for you or for your wife.
There seems to be a lot of misunderstanding around the fatality of Parkinson's. Is it a fatal disease?
Oh, look, I think it's fair to say that you die with Parkinson's. You certainly die with Parkinson's, and it doesn't actually kill you, if that's probably the crude way to deal with it. There are certain symptoms, side effects that will have an effect that may cause you to die. For instance, there are Parkinson's people out there that have a lot of trouble swallowing. Their muscles in their neck and area down here will contract enough, and so their airways. So there may be fatalities with people at night that actually can't breathe properly, but you simply die with it.
Is there anything known about what causes Parkinson's?
Well, I guess one could say Muhammad Ali may have been beaten around the head a fair bit, so one could say that that's a cause of his. I guess, no. You can talk to lots of people with Parkinson's. My wife's got Parkinson's, and she would say that she's been amongst pesticides all her married life with me around the Taronga area, which perhaps blows in from Te Puna. But look, I don't think there's any proven fact of what actually causes it.
Yes, about 15% they think is genetically caused, but they don't know for certain. And poisoning, playing rugby, getting knocked about.
Yeah, Dave, have any of your relatives got distant relatives had Parkinson's at all?
None at all.
No, okay, all right. So.
No, I just feel I was poisoned.
Okay.
Now, you've actually had a remarkably big turnaround in the last couple of months with quite a rare treatment, I guess.
Yes, that's true. I'm one of the very fortunate few people with Parkinson's, about 10% in fact, who would benefit from a process called deep brain stimulation. And that involves scalping me drilling 2 holes in my head and putting probes in, which stay there permanently, and they're attached to a neurotransmitter which sends a signal up to my brain and it takes away the symptoms. So I've gone from being very shaky, freezing in small spaces, so going out to the pub with my mates on a Friday, I would have to go home when it came time to go to the loo because I couldn't make it to the toilet.
I think it's fair to say that having known how Dave was a few months ago and looking at him now, and Dave's just been home to England and seen his family, and I can imagine how they felt when they saw him. It's just such an incredible turnaround that most of us can't believe it, and I don't think Dave can either. You know, from not wanting to go to the supermarket or a light shop where you're throwing your arms around, you're scared you're going to knock things off the shelf, to the way he is now is clearly remarkable. So congratulations, and you know, I wish you well.
I was very fortunate to be selected for this. It's, like I said, about 10% of people it would benefit, but it is a very long, complicated process to be selected. I feel very fortunate and blessed that I was selected. Now I'm as fit as a butcher's dog, and I'm looking forward to the rest of my life.
I mean, how is the NA treatment for others, those 90 other percent?
The main treatment is by medication, which is largely revolves around taking dopamine to replace the dopamine that is lacking in the brain. That works for a period of time, but as the medication has to be increased as the condition worsens, people find that they get a problem called dyskinesia, which is throwing about of arms and head jerking and such things. So the medication, while it is beneficial, has a limited shelf life, so to speak. And then eventually, as I got to the point where the dyskinesia was getting too bad for me to deal with, and the opportunity for this came up, and I grasped it because it was literally a no-brainer.
So to speak.
How was your mother? Did you go back and see all your family, and how were they when they saw you?
They said that they felt blessed, that the change in me was so dramatic that they couldn't believe it. All my friends can't believe it. People now don't see that I've got Parkinson's, and it is just wonderful. I feel like I've been born again.
What a truly amazing story. Coming up next, the bass track of the Mount After Dark. Welcome back to Central News on TV Central. It's Conservation Week, and to celebrate our amazing wildlife, the Mowal Wildlife Trust are taking tours.
Yep, it's part of the Department of Conservation Week that they have every year, and we're really excited to be part of it this year. We're going to be holding tours around Mowal and around Motariki Island, and what we do is we basically give people a lot of information about the wildlife and what's living in their backyard. We try and let them know what issues they're facing and what affects them, and then we take them on a bit of a tour around, and they get to see a few birds and meet a few penguins and have a really good time. It's a great tour, and we've had a lot of really good feedback from people who have really enjoyed it.
What kind of wildlife are we talking here? I mean, it seems to me that there's many seagulls, but the old oyster catcher, and that's about it.
Around Mowal, yes, there's a few seagulls, but population is dropping quite a bit, we've noticed, so that's something to watch in the future. But yeah, we have penguins, we have petrels, we have lots of moorporks, we have grey warblers. The kakaparrots like to come over and visit quite a bit, so it'd be really great to see them decide to live back on Mowal. They're really great entertainment, sort of a bird, and a really cool thing for the tourists to see. So. And tuis at the moment, lots of tuis everywhere. So yeah, most of the birds that we have here come up at night. So that's why most people don't realise there's so many cool creatures here, like the penguins, the grey-faced petrels, the diving petrels.
And do you think that's part of the problem, you know, that the public don't know what kind of lurks beneath them?
Well, yeah, it's kind of a catch-22 situation, because once everybody knows that something cool like this is there, their first instinct is they want to go and they want to see them and they want to, you know, get up close with them. But it also leads to things like issues with people harassing, disturbing the birds, especially during breeding, and that. All native birds need a permit to look after them, to monitor them, or to disturb them. We have a permit through Massey University and the Department of Conservation, as we are monitoring the penguins for the Rena, as part of the Rena oil spill. So we're just checking survival rates against the oiled penguins compared with the penguins that weren't oiled. They're all microchipped, so we can identify each one. So that's why we're allowed to go out there and catch these birds. It's part of a really important science study. But when they do know they're there, they look after the place. Once they know it's there, they know, I don't want to take my dog there because that place is special and there's these great birds there, and they'll take their rubbish away rather than leave it there, and they just tend to treat it better, and that's what we're really hoping, is that the locals really, you know, share the passion and enthusiasm we have. It's a great recreational area, but it's also a really great wildlife and scenic area, so we believe the two can work together, and we believe if the locals get involved, and it's going to be great for the birds and great for everyone and for the locals, because as the populations are stable and increase, they'll get to see more of these beautiful creatures. So.
Were most of the species of wildlife that we have here, were they here before people came here?
Oh, definitely, and a lot more. Like, it's suspected that on Moao alone that many other types of birds like fluttering shearwater, bullers, petrel, things like that would have lived there as well, but due to pest and predation, they've literally either decided they've had to leave, or all the breeding pairs have been killed off and there's nothing left to come back and nest. So definitely the penguins would have been here for thousands of years, yeah.
Now, some people find shags a bit of a problem. They're quite smelly. They're quite interesting birds though, aren't they?
Shags are cool, like, yeah, they do have a bit of a bad rap. They're kind of like the pukeko is the land bird that everyone gives a bad rap to, and shags are the seabirds everyone gives a bad rap to. But I think what people don't sort of realise is, they're natives. They deserve to be here. They've been here for a long time. They found their way here. This is their home as much as ours. And also that there's not actually as many shags around as people actually think there are. So there's a lot of places you go along the coast and you won't see one. We're lucky enough to live in an area where there are quite a lot of shags, but I've had many a person from out of town go, wow, I've never seen, like, I don't even think I've seen a shag, or you know, notice. And because we're so close to the coast and it's on our backyard, we notice these things a bit more. But what we don't notice is the areas that do not have these birds. So even something like a shag eventually is going to end up facing problems if we don't get involved and we don't look after the area they live in. So.
And my personal favourite bird is the dotterel. Are there any of these around here?
The dotterels are pretty much confined now to Makatu wetlands. There's a very extensive pest control and a group of people who look after them there. I think there's some on Matakana Island. I've never seen dotterels around here except during Rena. So when all the action was happening and there were people all over Makatu and they were rescuing a lot of the dotterels, what people didn't see when they went home was that about midnight every night a whole pile of dotterels would fly here and would be feeding and nesting in front of the surf club here, and yeah, so we would have a whole pile of dotterels in front of the surf club. But other than that, once all the fuss of Rena died down, we have not seen the dotterels here since. But in time in the future, it just goes to show they want to come here. They know this place is here. They know there's a food source here. So if it could be protected a bit more, and if we could encourage the locals and maybe get them, you know, realising that a dog-free zone is more often than not a dog-free zone for a reason, and also to be aware that a lot of these birds actually nest in the sand. Something like a dotterel and an oyster catcher, they nest in the sand. So watching where you walk when you're on the beach, if you happen to see a pair around, at this time there's probably going to be a nest somewhere. So just paying attention where you put your feet will make a huge difference to these birds.
Now, the negative subject, pests. What is the biggest pest problem around Moao?
Oh, there's so many pests. Probably the biggest around Moao at the moment that we have is mustelids and rodents and rabbits. They're the three main pests that cause a huge issue. Rabbit control is taken on Moao, but because of the rabbits coming in from the urban city areas where it's very difficult to control with poison or with anything like that because of the fact that there are children and dogs and animals around. They're very, very tricky to control. So that's something that the Trust is hoping to help work on and help increase and reduce the population. And with the rodents and the mustelids, it's just constant trapping. It's just it has to be regular, has to be constant, and we've been doing constant trapping, very consistent regular trapping in certain places on Moel and on Leisure Island for the last couple of years now, and it's definitely working. Like we're seeing Leisure Island alone now has a pair of moorpork living on here for the first time in I don't know how long. They come and visit quite regularly, but this is the first time a pair has actually lived on here for quite a long time. We're getting birds like the grey warblers have come back, things like that. So now that the rat population is reduced drastically, we've dealt with the rabbits. So now our main pests on Motariki Island, which is Leisure Island to the locals, is humans who wish to bring back the swimming pools on Leisure Island, dogs and cats.
I experienced that myself, and a big thank you to Moel Wildlife Trust. Amazing people. To find out more about the Trust, visit their website moelwildlife.org. Just ahead, the weather for the weekend and the best junior coach in the Waikato. Welcome back to Central News. Suburbs Community Sports Club recently had success at the Waikato Rugby Union Awards, winning Waikato Club of the Year and Waikato Junior Coach of the Year. Anne-Marie spoke with club manager Mike Gregan and award-winning junior coach Mark Anderson about the awards and why Eastern Suburbs Rugby Club has changed its name.
Yeah, you probably dropped the eastern part of it because as we changed the name and we wanted to involve the community that we were sort of involved with and other sports instead of just rugby. So by having that, by dropping Eastern Suburbs and having it as a community sports club, we're trying to engage the community to use the club and to engage other sports.
Tell me about the success last week at the Waikato Rugby Union Awards.
Absolutely brilliant. It was great to be acknowledged with all the hard work that everyone's done here to finally get a piece of, I suppose, silverware or glassware you can call it, in our cabinets, so it's great.
Mark, tell me about the team you coached.
Oh, they're a great bunch of kids. They're motivated. They gelled really well as a team, and we built up a really good team culture that brought us the goods at the end of the year.
What age were the children?
Pretty much year 7, year 8, so 11, 12-year-olds.
Any standout players?
There's a number of standout players, in particular Luca Den Hertog had a fantastic season, Solomona had a fantastic season, but they were the stars, I guess, but there were some really good grafters in the team. Talent was pretty well spread across the paddock.
Mike, what do you believe makes Mark worthy of the title of Junior Coach of the Year?
Oh, I think he's probably had a fairly bit of hard work going on behind the scenes. Previous clubs or teams that he's coached before, done rep teams before, and just by having the whole of all the parents behind him and the team, that helps. And decent manager and a decent assistant coach, but yeah, it would be belief from the kids, because at that age group the kids have got to give you a bit of respect, and if they believe in what you're doing, they'll take it onto the park as well. So,
Mark, what do you think is the most important aspect of being a coach, especially when it comes to kids?
The kids have got to have fun. If they enjoy it, they'll come to training. If they enjoy it, they soak it up. They have to have some self-belief as a team, but one thing I really like to do is always end the trainings with a game of some sort, often non-rugby related, just so that their last taste of training was of something that was good fun, get them coming back for next time.
What do you think you might do differently to other coaches?
Well, that may be part of it. I just really feel that when they leave training that they have to leave with a really good taste in their mouth. Once they get to year 7, year 8, they have to understand that they aren't individuals. The sum of the team is greater than the individual parts, or added together. So they have to understand that it's a team game by that stage, and that's one of the big transitions they have to get sorted in their own mind.
Mike, as winners of Waikato Club of the Year, what do you think got you across the line? What do you do differently to other clubs?
Probably hard to, it is probably hard to say, but I think it's probably the hard work that's gone on here. The development of the junior club and slowly getting into the senior club, having 33 odd junior teams ranging from 6th grade through to 12th grade. So there's a fairly big club, 420 junior players, which you've got around about 60 coaches and the same in assistant coaches and managers. So it's a fairly big part of it. And just being family orientated and I suppose giving back to the community and not just sort of taking rugby on board. It's just the whole package.
For more details, check out their Facebook page, facebook.com/Suburbs Community Sports Club. Now for the weather for Saturday. Looking to the seas now for Saturday. That is Central News for today and this week. If you'd like to get in contact with us, you can via our Facebook page or email us news@tvcentral.co.nz. Join me again next week for more stories from the Waikato and the Bay Plenty. Until then, I'm Hilary Entwistle and I hope you have a lovely evening and a fantastic weekend.
This has been an Alpha Media production, a division of Television Media Group.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.